In a market like this where sellers are needing to concede more, we're still seeing multiple offers. Let's talk about all of this, but sellers conceding, sellers negotiating more in a market like this. What are the most important things an agent, a broker need to know?
Yeah, that's a great point. And the data you're talking about is reflective of the consumer sentiment. We saw there was a report released on Monday from CNBC that home buyer sentiment was up 6 percentage points from where it was October, November in the month of December. Seller sentiment's down a little bit. It's still at 51% of people think it's a good time to sell, down from 54. So we're seeing, I would say, the very start of how the market starts to normalize here, because that's what we're talking about. You're talking about seller concessions. This is going to be a challenge for a lot of agents, and I'll tell you why. They don't know how a seller assist works, right? I don't know about your market, Byron. Ours, sellers assists are very common. People don't understand how that works. FHA and VA financing, right? You were like a leper trying to get those offers accepted in 2021 if you had FHA or VA financing because of the appraisal procedures. Not a big deal if you know what you're talking about, but most agents are saying, oh, you're not 20% down. They're even saying, I don't know if I want to work with you, which is a whole other thing. On top of that, you've got to deal with home inspections, right? Home inspections, I don't know about you, my
They're
least
killing
favorite
deals.
part of the transaction, right? Well, and you're going back and forth about stuff where, the inspector matters, and there's some that are alarmists, some that are very good. I'm sure you know the deal killers in your market. I know the ones in ours, and they go in and they spook buyers, and they're spending 4, 5, 6, 7, 800,000. That's a challenge, right? So there's all these nuances to negotiating because there's been so many agents that got into the market 2020 up until now, and they didn't have to deal with this stuff. And prior to 2020, getting a waived home inspection was like unheard of. I mean, unless it was the house was a total, gut job and you had an investor or someone coming in. So the big keys I see for agents are, one, you've got to let things play out. You can't just get nervous the deal's going to blow up in your face. You got to understand what the agreement of sale says, the timing and the deadlines. Every state is different. I could recite ours in Pennsylvania like the back of my hand. You don't know that stuff, I don't guarantee the person on the other side is going to know it, and they may just go, "Hey, we're gonna terminate the deal, Byron." Well, wait a minute. You don't have the right to do that. Here's what the agreement of sale says. This is a big issue for a lot of agents. You'll see agents 15, 20 years in the business don't even know what the agreement of sale says. So understanding the timeframes in the agreement of sale is number one. Letting things play out, gathering information, right? Got to get a roof replaced. You need to figure out if this, we just went through this the other day where there was a condo we sold. FHA financing came in. The lender said, hey, I can get a spot approval. And because not every condo is FHA approved, everyone starts freaking out because the approval expired. Well, you had to let it play out. It took 2 days. We got the spot approval. In the past, that offer wouldn't have even been looked at. So there's all these intricacies in the agreement. And if you don't understand financing around the different loan types, if you don't understand inspection negotiations and timeframes, and how to write a lower offer with the expectation your buyer's starting at a number that they know they're going to come up from, that's a whole art, right? You see a 60-day or 70-day home on the market, I'm saying that's an opportunity. So let's make an offer knowing we're willing to come up. And you got to let the seller feel like they win sometimes, because if you don't, and you just say, hey, here's my offer, like it or not, you're going to piss everybody off. So there's a whole art to this that a lot of agents don't even have any concept of how to work in that market.
For real estate agents that are going to go out there in 2023 and increase their listing inventory, they're going to go out and get listings. That's where the power is as the listing agent,
of course,
or a real estate broker. What advice would you give to that agent to prep the seller to say, hey, here's where we're going to go out. We're likely going to go under contract at this number, but let's also carve out a little bit on this deal for concessions, for negotiations, because we're going to get negotiated with. Redfin report found that a record 41.9% of home sellers gave concessions to home buyers in Q4 of 2022 for repairs and mortgage rate buy downs because they wanted to keep the deal. But what advice would you give to an agent to make sure that the seller knows, before I even see a deal, I'm going to get negotiated with? This is normal in this market, so that I don't get an ego and kill a deal and go back on market and create confusion for the for the buyers, for the home shoppers that are looking on Zillow and Redfin, all these other sites.
So what I know is that the most important data, you want to chart what homes are actually selling for. we went from the first half in our market in 2021 or 2022, 102, 103% of the asking price. That's come down to 97%,
Yes.
98%. Still excellent numbers, by the way. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, 2008 was like 93, right? So you're talking about significant numbers here. Show the sellers that. Tell them, hey, my intention is to price the home where I think it's going to sell for, that it's going to get you the best amount of traffic, because positioning is a real thing in the marketplace. Pricing the home at 400 versus 405, right? Forget about the $5,000. As a seller, you're getting more eyeballs at the $400,000 number. That's the way search engines work. You've got to be able to communicate that to a seller and make sure they list with a number that if they got it, they'd be okay with it. In this market, listing lower, expecting multiple offers, it doesn't work. And then when you don't produce those multiple offers, the seller automatically doesn't trust you.